Do you ever have one of those periods in your life where you're just feeling old? I'm currently going through a period like that myself. On today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the reasons I'm feeling that way and what it may actually be related to. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm so glad you decided to join me. I am whining on this episode. I'm whining about being an old man. I'm telling you, it's one of those periods in my life where I'm feeling every single one of my years. And there are those that would argue that it's too late that I am an old man. And they're most likely right. One of the symptoms that I have been experiencing over the past couple of years is just my difficulty staying awake late at night. I find that around 8 o'clock, I am ready for bed, sometimes earlier, 7 o'clock. If it's during the winter months when the sun's not out, I just find myself wanting to go to bed earlier and earlier. And if this sounds familiar, it probably does. We've talked about circadian rhythm issues in the past, particularly jet lag syndrome and delayed sleep phase syndrome. Today we're going to talk about one that is very similar to delayed sleep phase, but it's actually at the opposite side of the coin. Advanced sleep phase syndrome is a disorder that involves falling asleep earlier than you intend to, and waking up much earlier than is socially acceptable. Now, there's that phrase again, socially acceptable. Of course, we all have to live our lives, and most of us live our lives because they sleep in a normal time and wake up at a normal time. What I have been finding is that as I go to bed earlier and earlier, I'm waking up earlier and earlier as well. It's not necessarily an issue of sleep quality. Most people with advanced sleep phase syndrome sleep just fine. Their sleep architecture is normal. When they go to sleep, they don't have any difficulty getting to sleep. When they wake up, they feel refreshed. It's just that the hours that they sleep have been advanced on the clock. So going to bed at 8 o'clock and waking up at 3 or 4 o'clock is a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep. The problem then arises with those socially acceptable norms. Usually people with advanced sleep phase syndrome don't have any issue with early morning work. They're typically early birds, so they're going to be up and awake and alert. It's those evening issues that can become a problem. So, for example, you want to meet some friends on a Friday night for dinner. You get off work at 6:30 or 7, and by then you're ready for bed, whereas most people will be staying up until 11 o'clock or so, or possibly later on the weekends, because I hear that's what the young kids do these days. Then they will be able to enjoy those normal socially acceptable activities that people with advanced sleep phase syndrome have difficulty enjoying. Now, as with other circadian rhythm issues, it's not necessarily a problem unless it begins to interfere with your life. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, it may sound a lot like insomnia. If you find that it is causing issues for you, it is something that would need to be discussed with your doctor. Fortunately, it is something that begins to affect all of us as we get older. The percentages are about 1% of adults in the United States have reported having issues of advanced sleep phase disorder. Fortunately, it is evenly distributed among men and women. So ladies, we get to suffer it with you. Now, as with circadian rhythm issues, they are involving a part of the brain that helps set our biological clock. So we've discussed the need or the necessity of light to help solidify our sleep schedules. In advanced sleep phase syndrome, one of the conditions that will help take care of the disorder is to expose yourself to bright light at a different time of the day than we would normally recommend. That's where it can become an issue with treating advanced sleep phase syndrome because most of the times we want people to expose themselves to bright light early in the day. As they get up, 6:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, get outside, get some natural sunlight, or if you've got a particular bright light that you have purchased for this specific need, it's brighter than an actual table lamp or a desktop lamp. They're specifically made to provide 10,000 lux or more. So you want to expose yourself to those things early in the day in a normal circumstance. However, with advanced sleep phase syndrome, we want to see people being exposed to bright light a little bit later in the day. So, for example, in the early evening hours, what that will do is to help tell your clock, no, it is not time for bed. We're still receiving these light cues, so we need to be staying awake. Over time, this will help solidify the sleep phase back to normal. So instead of going to bed at 8 o'clock, you'll be able to stay awake a little bit later and sleep accordingly in the morning to a normal wake time. Another method of treatment for advanced sleep phase syndrome is the use of melatonin. Now, you can address this in a couple of different ways. You can either take a slow release or a slow acting melatonin, around 2 milligrams at bedtime. This will give you a steady dose of melatonin throughout the night. Or when you wake up in the morning at 3 o'clock, take a very small dose of melatonin, half of a milligram, 0.5. That will help to sort of reintroduce your body to the fact that it should still be asleep. Also, early in the morning in people with advanced sleep phase syndrome, avoiding the bright light can be an issue and can be a method of helping solidify their sleep cycle. So wearing sunglasses early in the day can help delay some of those natural cues that our body has gotten mixed up with. So providing yourself with bright light later in the day will help to delay your sleep onset until a normal time. Also, advancing your bedtime slightly over the course of a couple of weeks can help as well, and typically by 15 or 20 minutes. As we've discussed in the past, it is easier to stay awake when you're tired than it is to go to sleep when you're not sleepy. So we are addressing advanced sleep phase syndrome at the beginning of the night rather than at the end of the night to try to combat some of those specific symptoms. Now, my own personal journey, I have begun to advance myself around the clock a little bit. I'm delaying my bedtime a little bit at a time. I do normally take some melatonin. It's just regular non-fast or non-delayed release melatonin. I'm not yet to the point where I'm going to be taking the melatonin at 3 in the morning, but I am noticing that I'm not having any difficulty getting to sleep as I go to sleep a little bit later, and I am beginning to see a little bit of an effect in the morning. I'm not necessarily waking up at 3 a.m. Like I have been in the past, but I will keep everyone posted as to my efforts on working on this particular sleep disorder that I have developed. And you would think that I would know better because I've been around so long and I've done this stuff for 33 years. But it just goes to show you that even those of us that are in the industry can still have some issues with our sleep and be able to recognize those things and take particular steps to avoid them. Now, as with any type of sleep disorder, if you find that it is becoming a problem with your life, discuss it with your doctor, your primary care doctor. It's a good opportunity to start a conversation. They may also recommend that you follow up with a certified sleep physician to get that taken care of. I hope this has been enjoyable for you. I will, as I mentioned, keep you posted on my own progress. If you yourself are suffering from advanced sleep phase syndrome, send me an email. Let me know about it. What steps have you been taking to try to help solidify your sleep at the appropriate times? Or have you just said, to heck with appropriate times, I'm going to go to bed when I feel like going to bed? That is probably where I'll end up once I retire. So I will be the dinner at 4:30 crowd, and that's just going to be my my story at that particular time. As always, please remember to follow and subscribe on the podcast on your favorite podcast network. And please remember to like and to follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I've also started posting on YouTube. So if that is an easier method for you to find us, then go ahead and try out some of the YouTube videos as well. That will give you an opportunity to see my mug up close and personal. I had been hesitant because I think that I have a face for radio. So I've been hesitant to put things on YouTube, but it's been an interesting learning curve, and I think that it's fun and going to be able to reach more people to get the word out that we all need to make sleep a priority. So until next time, get some rest. Bye-bye.